Assalamu alaikum. We'll just give it a few more minutes, inshallah, for more people to join, and then we'll start very promptly. Okay. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Jazakumullah khairan for attending our free webinar, The Art of Successful Relationships, Prophetic Wisdom for Modern Life. Today, we're joined by our dear own Sheikh Farid, who is a senior scholar practitioner at Islamic Council with over 30 years of experience in designing and delivering learning that bridges revelation, psychology, and human development. He's delivered numerous national and international training modules on Islamic adjudication, ethics, and case management. Now, just for a few house rules before we get started. Firstly, we have a Menti quiz, which will be used throughout today's webinar in order for you to interact with the Sheikh. So do be prepared to scan the QR code for it or to enter the website link in your browser. Secondly, is that all of you are muted automatically. So if you wish to speak, for example, if Sheikh asks a question to you, please do raise your hand so that I may unmute you. Thirdly, please do read the email that will be sent to you after this session, because it will provide some key materials for you to reflect upon, as well as an exciting announcement from our side. And finally, I'm sure this question will pop up many times, but this session is being recorded and it will be put on our YouTube channel for all of you to go back to and rewatch any bits that you wish. And now I'll just hand over to Sheikh Farid. Jazakallah.
جزاكم الله خير أمار. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, hope you're all well, mashallah. Good to be here this evening with you all. May Allah Jalala shower His rahmat and barakat on you all and allow you all to, subhanallah, reap more than what you intend from attending such a session. May Allah Jalala, grant us the tawfiq and guidance for all of us to uphold the beauty that his teachings contain. Allahumma ameen. So alhamdulillah rabbil alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa sayyid mursaleen nabiyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. I do welcome everybody, mashallah. It's really good to have you all here tonight, mashallah. And whether you're married, engaged, simply curious about how relationships can flourish, I think we all of us share one thing in common, that we care deeply about relationships. We care deeply about people in our lives. And at the same time, those very relationships can test us the most. You don't need to be in a crisis to relate to this topic. Sometimes it's just the simple matter of navigating everyday differences, tone, expectations, patience. And tonight we're going to look at a moment, really, through a prophetic lens, to see and glimpse what real success in relationships look like. So let's be honest for a moment. Let's get straight into it, right? Have you ever said something in frustration and wished you could take it back? Or watched a small issue spiral simply because neither side knew how to de-escalate? We've all been there. And somehow, yet, within those same moments, there's opportunity for growth. There's opportunity for beauty. And we'll see that in our beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. in the discussion tonight for ihsan. It's right there. And we just need to see it through these prophetic eyes. So in this short session, we're going to explore one really unforgettable moment from the Prophet's own household, one that many people might not be aware of, or many of those who are aware of it often overlook it, can appreciate, the incident, but it carries, subhanAllah, a lifetime of relationship wisdom. So inshallah, the hope is, brothers and sisters, that you leave tonight with something practical, something actionable, that you can apply immediately. Things that work in all relationships, inshallah. So whether you came tonight looking for tips, for perspective, or simply a moment, like we all need, a moment to breathe, a moment to reflect, you're in the right place, inshallah. Because to take the prophetic way as a model isn't about living without mistakes, brothers and sisters. It's about what happens more frequently than not. That's what the journey is about. And not perfection, but the word proportion. If over time your default becomes calm instead of chaos, it becomes repair instead of rupture, that's success. So let's begin, and we seek tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here's a question I'd like you to really think about for a moment. What makes someone truly successful in relationships? Is it communication? Is it emotional intelligence? Is it patience? Or is it something else? Just take a few seconds to think about that. And as Ammar just mentioned, we want to make this interactive. So what I would like from all of you, as many of you, please, scan the code or go to the Menti URL and tap in the passcode, and just one or two words that you think define success in relationships. Whatever it is, it could be trust, it could be patience, it could be forgiveness. Let's just see what we come up with collectively. If you're not online, meaning you don't have access to go to menti.com, then just say it quietly to yourself or write it down. The one word you think captures success. Bismillah. And then let's see how we're getting on, inshallah. I'll give you maybe 30 seconds. And obviously, I can see some people writing on the chat. Be great if you can contribute on the Menti, because then we'll build a record of the discussion, and we'll share these slides with you all. So don't worry about missing anything from the slides, and we'll share the Menti results as well. So if we can use the Menti, that will help us all, inshallah. So someone is saying that maybe we've got the wrong question up. Let's have a look. Is this what you can see, everybody? Working now? No, someone's saying no. Someone say working now. I can see it. Well, you can see it live, right? Alhamdulillah, we can see the information coming live. So hopefully it seems that some of you have connected. So those who haven't,
Perhaps
not sure.
I'm going to say try to reload that page. Then it might come up.
So look what's coming in here, subhanallah. It's quite beautiful to see, right? Look at some of the words. And by the way, for those who are not familiar, the bigger the font size, the more common that word has appeared in your submissions, right? So that tells us something quite amazing, right? Taqwa featuring, right, in such a huge way, such a broad term, right? It can contain everything, as can the word patience, communication, compassion, tolerance. Beautiful, subhanAllah. All true and really all essential. right? Uh, Now, as we're going to see tonight, let those answers come in for a bit more as I speak, right? As we going to see tonight, through our specific targeted focus, right? Even these things can sometimes break down, right? As we all know, even in the best of homes, even between people who love each other deeply, right? And this is the particular angle we're going to take, right? We're not being dismissive of these things. They have tremendous space and essential realities. But where we're going to come from tonight is a particular perspective, right? And that is simply that perhaps part of success, I won't say success, part of success isn't only about mastering a skill like tolerance or disposition, you could say, tolerance, right? It's quite amazing, actually. I've been taken by the answer, tolerance coming the biggest here. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Buruj, وَهُوَ الْغَفُورُ الْوَدُودُ. Yeah. He's Al-Ghafur, he's Al-Wadud. He's the of forgiving, um, tolerance, Al-Wadud, loving. These two critical traits. It's quite amazing. Anyhow, so the point is, it's not just these, qualities or skills or dispositions, like communication in terms of skills and empathy and so on. Perhaps it's also, brothers and sisters, about what happens when these things fail, right? Because the truth is, everyone can communicate when they feel calm. The real test is, how do you communicate when you feel hurt? And that's the particular prophetic wisdom we want to focus on today in this incident that takes us really deeper. It doesn't just teach us what to do when things are going well. It shows us that, it shows us how to act when something breaks, when a word slips, when misunderstanding surfaces, when something small turns into something bigger. That's what we're going to explore tonight. The moment of fracture and the beauty of how the Prophet ﷺ responded to it. So again, remember, this isn't about being perfect or never having tension. It's about learning to mend what breaks. I want to keep repeating this phrase. This is what I want you to go away with. Yeah, it's the slogan for the evening. Mend what breaks. And over time, it's about having more moments of mending than moments of breaking. That's what real success, okay, looks like. MashaAllah, amazing answers. We're going to move on now, okay? Let's start with something with the everyday family scene, brothers and sisters, okay? Um, that might sound familiar to most of us, right? It's a typical weekend dinner. The family is finally together. Everyone's meant to relax and reconnect. But within minutes, something small goes wrong. A tone changes, a word lands badly, and that warmth which was desired, starting to appear, turns into tension, right? So look at it here, yeah? A family gathers for weekend dinner, a time meant to reconnect and unwind. During the meal, tensions rise. The father, frustrated by the children's noise, snaps. Can't you ever behave properly? You're ruining the meal for everyone. The children look downcast and embarrassed. Moments later, the elder sibling mutters to a younger one who helped cook, why do you even bother? Nobody likes your cooking anyway. The comment stings. The mother, overwhelmed, suddenly stands up and says sharply, I'm tired of this. You can all finish on your own. The table falls silent. So what began with warmth has turned cold. Yeah, father's already tired from the week, snaps at the kids, the children's faces, they fall, the one sibling mocks another, right? So subhanallah, the mother, they're trying to hold everything together, reaches her breaking point, right? So we've all witnessed moments like this, haven't we? Right? Maybe not at the dinner table, maybe in a car, maybe in a WhatsApp group, maybe at a family gathering, where everyone starts with good intention and yet somehow things still break. No one meant harm, but tone, emotion, ego, tiredness, they all collided, and something that was fragile cracked. That's the human condition, by the way. Okay. So now imagine a comparable scene unfolding in the Prophet's home, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How would he have responded at that moment? When emotion was high, when something broke, when tension was in the air. We're about to see that. And it's remarkable because it's not just about what he did, but how he made everyone in that room feel safe again. And this is what we mean by when we say mend what breaks. Okay. It's not about never having these moments. We all do. It's about how quickly and how beautifully we respond once they happen. Okay. So, you know, what happens when something breaks, right? You can almost feel it, can't you? The moment something breaks, not just a plate, but a tone, a word, a feeling. We've all been there. Something, it's visible. Sometimes it's visible. Sometimes it's just in the air that shifts. Feel it in your chest, that quick heat of regret, of defensiveness. It's the moment every relationship faces, right? A moment of fracture. Yeah. And the point is here, brothers and sisters, that these can be the very moments that can define us more. Yeah? Not the calm ones, but the broken ones. Because anybody, as I said, can be kind when things are easy. The real test comes when something breaks. When the emotions they flood in. When pride wants to speak first. Yeah. When your instinct is just to react. That's the test. Yeah. And the beauty here in the Prophet's example is we've been shown exactly what to do in that moment. So let's have another question, right? Let's see collectively what we come up with, right? What usually breaks first in a tense moment? Your words, your patience, or your tone, right? Let's go back to the Menti, inshallah. Hopefully the question comes up again, right? Hopefully the question comes up again. So I think it may need to click start here. When things get tense, what usually breaks first for you? My words, my tone, my patience, my calm, something else. Tone seems to be leading the way at the moment. It's a really quite revealing one, right? It's because tone is the bridge between what we feel and what others hear. Yeah. It breaks early because emotion rises faster than awareness, brothers and sisters. Yeah. Emotion rises faster than awareness. Yeah. So that really does remind us that relationships don't just depend on what we say, but how we sound. Yeah. And the Prophet Prophet's calm tone was part of his mercy. SubhanAllah. Yeah. Part of his mercy. Got any more coming in? Patience is topping as well, quite high. Yeah. That for a lot of people that breaks first because it stretched the most. Yeah. Sometimes it can be seen as the container for all the others. When patient goes, tone, words calm, soon everything follows, right? Yeah. It tells us about our kind of internal capacity. Yeah. Is what really determines that relational success. Yeah. Not just skill, but sabr. Yeah. That's sustained under pressure. Some of you have mentioned calm, right? The emotional regulation, right? They're all connected one way or another, right? They're all connected one way around, but we've got a leading contender there, which is my tone, subhanAllah. Very interesting, right? And the difference between words and tone, okay, when our words break, truth gets lost, okay? But when our tone breaks, mercy gets lost. Yeah, they both matter. Yeah, and Prophet ﷺ combined both. Yeah, combined both. So now let's step into this incident, right? Into the home of the Prophet ﷺ, a home filled with the love, a home filled with the humanity, and yes, moments of emotion as well. Because something did break, literally. And the way he responded changed everything. Subhanallah. Okay. So, I want us just not see this as a narration, take it as a moment to listen, right? To read and really see it as an intimate moment from the Prophet's home, sallallahu, right? Um, uh, this isn't, yeah, brothers and sisters, it's not a public sermon. It's not a miracle. It's a domestic scene. Yeah? Simple, human, real, and yet, subhanAllah, filled with divine wisdom. Okay, so I'll read out the narration. The Prophet ﷺ was with one of his wives, and another of the mothers of the believers sent a plate of food. The wife in whose house the Prophet ﷺ was staying struck the hand of the servant carrying the plate, causing it to fall and break. The Prophet ﷺ gathered the pieces of the plate and the food upon it and said, "Your mother has had a moment of jealousy." Then he said, in another narration, Musnad Imam Ahmad, he said to those guests who were with him, "Eat." So they ate. He held the servant until a replacement plate was brought from the wife in whose house he was, gave the replacement plate to the one whose plate had been broken, and kept the broken one in the house of the one who had broken it. So the hadith, the main narration here, apart from the bit in brackets, is from Anas ibn Malik, who served the Prophet ﷺ for 10 years. And the hadith is in Sahih Bukhari. It's quite amazing. Yeah, just let that moment sort of rest, look at it again, read it again. And actually, what I want is, again, we start heavy with activities, right? And then we'll carry on with the discussions, which is before we unpack it, okay, I'd love for you to reflect personally, right? What stands out to you the most from this moment in the Prophet ﷺ's home? What struck you? Okay. Whether emotionally, morally, spiritually, whatever. Take a minute and share the thought using the link again. Okay. Just one short sentence, a phrase, an observation, whatever caught your heart, whatever caught your attention. Yeah. I'll give you a minute or so to add your thoughts there. Let's see what you come up with. Someone wrote calm response. He chose not to belittle her or humiliate her. The mannerism of how he dealt with it, leading with an example, empathy, patience, holding the servant's hand, wisdom, how he de-escalated so quickly, manners and sabr. The Prophet ﷺ allowed his wife to have her moment without making her feel guilty. Emotional intelligence. Oops, let's go back. I was trying to scroll down. Let's see how we can do that. I don't know. Let's see, can we scroll down? No. Click. What's this click do? Sorting the circles from the squares. I don't know what this is going to do, brothers and sisters. Interesting. 9 groups found. Hmm. So we can click at least to get more information. So a lot of people mentioned about how calm it was, mashallah. Manners and sabr. The direction to eat. Husband's command overrode everything, giving time for reflection. There's compassion, there's understanding. He also read the situation quickly and acted. The Prophet automatically knew why the reaction of breaking the plate happened. So he responded appropriately. I identified the cause early. Very good point there, mashallah. Very good point. Okay, so we're going to share the new responses here. Let's click that, see what comes up. Okay. Conflict resolution, mashallah. Solve the issue without further creating a scene. Very proactive. Some fantastic answers really here. Yeah, captured the webinar, right? Didn't embarrass wife for her reaction in front of the guests. Water for the fire, mashallah. Really like that. Okay, let's actually explore now, right? Together in the way I put it together. Let's go with the discussion how I want to present it. Okay, but tawakkalna Allah. So now that we felt the moment, let's step back and really look at what the Prophet didn't do. Because sometimes wisdom is, as much in restraint as it is in action. Please, some of these key points, if they resonate with you, and then nothing new, they're basic, but sometimes the reminder benefits. Okay, we need to capture anything we think is helpful for us. That's what I want from you, right? So wisdom is as much in restraint as it is in action. Yeah, if this had been any one of us, let's be honest, what might have happened, right? A sharp tone, as we mentioned earlier, the tone breaks, a lecture, uh, a moment of embarrassment in front of others, or maybe just a hurt silence that lingers. Yeah, subhanAllah. So we often try to regain control of the situation in an incorrect way, but in doing so, we can lose composure. The Prophet didn't do any of that. Yeah, there was no anger. Yeah, he didn't allow. Imagine the situation: your household, your status. You have guests, right? He didn't allow. Yeah, the sudden shock of the moment, the sound of the plate breaking, the eyes turning to trigger reaction. Yeah, he actually modeled calm leadership of the heart. Unbelievable, subhanAllah. Amazing leader. He modeled that, right? There was no humiliation. Yeah? He didn't shame her, not even gently. No sarcasm, no moral lecture, no public display of authority. Right? In fact, the Prophet ﷺ protected her dignity in the very moment she'd lost composure. SubhanAllah, unbelievable. Yeah, there's no public rebuke. Yeah, he didn't turn it into a teachable moment, right? Teachable moment. Yeah, in front of others. Even though everybody present saw what happened, right? Uh, he shielded her from further exposure. Yeah, that restraint preserved harmony beyond the incident itself. SubhanAllah. And some people fail to realize this, right? The cost they will pay, right? Beyond the incident, right? Too much caught up in an incident and not looking at the bigger picture. Yeah, and this is a tremendous one, right? They speak about it in our modern age, right? There's no denial of emotion. Yeah, he didn't pretend nothing happened. The Prophet ﷺ. He actually recognized, yeah, her moment of jealousy. He named it, but with empathy. Your mother had a moment of jealousy. So the Prophet ﷺ, he gave space for emotion. This is the most amazing mastery of it all, right? The Prophet ﷺ gave space for emotion to exist without letting it dominate. SubhanAllah. Yeah, gave space without letting it dominate. Yeah, most of us When something breaks, literally or emotionally, we reach for control, raise our voice, explain, correct, or withdraw, right? The silent treatment and everything else and so on, right? But the Prophet ﷺ, he reached for calm, you know. He led not by control, but by containment. Yeah. So with the Prophet ﷺ, see, he doesn't need to assert power, okay? Because the strength, and this you see in the Prophet's life, subhanAllah, in the home, the strength of the Prophet ﷺ is already there. It's moral. It doesn't have to be positional, you know. So, look at all the things he didn't do. Yeah, and so if that's what he didn't do, then what did he actually do? Let's look at that. Because within just a few words and a few movements, he repaired what others might have made worse. Yeah, so let's look at that next. What he did do and why it's so profound. Okay. So, what did the Prophet do instead? Yeah, in three beautiful, simple steps, steps that can kind of transform any household, any workplace, any relationship. He contained, he corrected, he continued. Yeah, it's the most amazing prophetic pattern for emotional leadership. Yeah, not reaction, not withdrawal, but gentle restoration. Right. So he there's contain, correct, continue. Right. The Prophet contained the emotion. Right. He contained the moment. Right. He didn't deny the emotion or suppress it. He simply stopped it from spreading. Right. Think about it. That emotions are contagious. Right. One raised voice becomes two. One reaction triggers another. But the Prophet broke the chain. Yeah. It's quite amazing, really. He absorbed the emotion with his calm. Yeah. By picking up the pieces himself, he sent a silent message, subhanAllah. It's okay. It ends here. Yeah. Containment is not avoidance. Yeah. It is a leadership in the moment. It is a moral leadership in the moment. It's the courage to steady the atmosphere before any damage multiplies. Then, subhanAllah, look, he restored fairness. Yeah. The one whose plate had been broken was quietly compensated. He made sure that what was taken was replaced, balance was restored, trust reaffirmed. But he did it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, without making anyone feel small. No announcement, no blame, no shaming, just quiet justice. So here the Prophet combines adl with ihsan. And that most comprehensive ayah, one of the most comprehensive ayah in the Quran, إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان. He combined the justice with beauty. Yeah. And this is, subhanAllah, moral intelligence at its finest, really. Yeah. Fairness with grace. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yeah. And he continued the meal in peace. Yeah. As if to say, the moment is over, we return to peace. He didn't let the tension linger or the silence hardened. Or the silence become something, that becomes something very felt. In fact, he just normalized the environment, yeah, with a calm assurance. That's something most of us really struggle with, by the way. We may fix the situation, but we don't always restore the atmosphere. Yeah. It's quite two different things. Yeah. And you see it in the ayah that was triggered when I saw the word tolerance. وَهُوَ الْغَفُورُ الْوَدُودُ. Yeah, this is in Surah Buruj. Scholars, when they speak about the names of Allah Jalala in the Quran, it's a phenomena, right? The pairing of names is a phenomenon in the Quran, right? And they say that the pairing itself adds another dimension. So you got the name by itself, which is sublime, another name which is sublime, and then something that happens when they're paired. And then when you look at the context of the pairing, it just takes it to another level, right? But here, the pairing, Al-Ghafur al-Wadud, yeah. When Allah Jalla forgives, He remains loving. He does it with warmth, not as we're seeing here, right? That we will let go of things, or meaning, restore things, but there's still feeling of resentment there, right? Allah Jalla is different. Allah is Al-Ghafur Wadud. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions these kinds of names and attributes and wants His slaves to emulate in their own capacity things that are appropriate to emulate. And this is critical. Yeah. Allah Jalla is like, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He wants believers to be like this. So He did both. The Prophet did both, right? Yeah, He fixed the situation, as I said, and He restored the atmosphere because there's warmth there. There's not just tolerance, there's warmth, there's love. Yeah. So, so subhanallah, here it is, the prophetic process of repair: contain, correct, continue. Yeah, stop the emotional spread, restore the fairness, resume normality. Right? He didn't need a long speech or confrontation, just calm action and quiet wisdom. Yeah. And this is what it means. This is what my phrase when I say mend what breaks. We're not saying erase the moment, but subhanallah, be masterful to bring beauty into it, to repair. Okay, the tone, the fairness, the peace, right? All in one motion from the Prophet, right? And I want to just talk a bit more about specific aspects of the narration a bit more, and I'm packaging it in with certain phrases that are of interest to me and is worthy of its own course, right? The idea of intelligence, what aql means, right? And how in this incident, the Prophet um, shows moral intelligence, emotional intelligence, and social intelligence. And I'll speak briefly about each one. And it's quite amazing, really, because when you look at the discourse in our tradition, when you look at the word aqal, intelligence, you will see it's so clear from how the Sahaba and the Tabi'un and the early generations understood what aqal means and what was praiseworthy about somebody who is intelligent. It wasn't cognitive intelligence. Yeah, the idea to know something, be brainy, and all that. This is obviously something that's admired and something that's important, but that wasn't the standard with them. It's quite amazing when you explore their statements and their practice. They revered these three. They would view somebody to be intelligent if they had moral intelligence, emotional intelligence, and social intelligence. These very three things we find in this incident. And that discussion will be for another time, inshallah. We can speak about it, but I'll just, wanted to just introduce that idea and just see what's in the incident concerning these, right? So, go back to the moment carefully, right? Because the order of what the Prophet did is just as important as the act itself. Yeah. Before he said a single word, he acted. Unbelievable. There's so much discussions in modern psychology about so much about what's in this incident, right? He bent down, gathered the pieces, collected the food, told guests to eat, and replaced what was broken. And he didn't begin with speech. He began with repair. Sometimes the best way to calm a heated moment is not to talk about it, is to quietly do something good within it. So his action set the tone before his words could even be heard. Subhanallah. And there's a wisdom, as we're saying, of behind acting first. Yeah. By acting first, he immediately de-escalated the emotion in the room. Yeah. Movement, good movement, the right movement communicates safety. It resets the nervous system, right? Because of the flight, freeze, right? And so on, right? Or fight, right? Before anyone could feel embarrassed or defensive, the Prophet had already changed the energy of the space through calm, purposeful motion. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's a profound lesson, really. Yeah. Sometimes right action, brothers and sisters, is more powerful than right explanation. Yeah. So the repair cools the emotion, so the understanding can later enter, right? And this is what we call, right, in terms of what he was able to do, this adl with ihsan, yeah, the ability to do what is just without the fuel of anger, right, and replacing the plate, part of moral intelligence. So he's he's upholding accountability, the adult side, without robbing dignity, the ihsan side. Yeah, so he restores it quietly. Yeah, he shows that the woman whose plate was broken received another from that same house where it was broken. Yeah, but protecting the one who had broken it from humiliation. Yeah, adl joined with ihsan. I want you to always remember this. Yeah, justice joined with beauty. Yeah, and it was said, "In Allah ya'mur bil adl wal ihsan." Yeah, indeed, Allah enjoins adl, justice, and ihsan, excellence, benevolence, beauty, has all those connotations, right? So in one graceful act, the Prophet embodied both, right? So, we contrast that with our common reactions. Most of us, when something breaks, literally, emotionally, we feel the need to speak first. We want to correct, to explain, want to assert control, as I mentioned, right? And he reversed the order. Yeah. He reversed order. Yeah, he calmed through action before even addressing anything about emotion, right? True leadership of the Prophet ﷺ. So next time something breaks, maybe it's good, an object, a plan, a tone, ask yourself, what would repair look like right now? Yeah. What would repair look like right now? Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just, get up, wipe the table, pick up the paper, fix the tone, act first. Yeah. You'll often find that the need for harsh words then disappear. And that's a strategy Prophet is applying, right? Yeah. You're consuming your thoughts, your energy, your movement in getting that plate. Yeah, in the narration, Muslim bin Ahmed, the Prophet ﷺ put the broken plate together, back together, and put the food on it, and said to people, eat the very same plate that was broken. Yeah. It's how you mend what breaks, right? Because this way heals faster than any other way. Yeah, any other way. And likewise, if we look at the uh, somebody wrote the repair, what would that look like right now has to come from Allah, otherwise we are lost. I'm not sure the point here. Okay, anyhow, let me carry on, inshallah. We can have some discussion later on because it's difficult to keep up with the chat. But maybe, Ammar, I'll ask you if you think something's very important point is coming that's timely, then just let me know, please, inshallah. I do like to go with the people. It's not my usual style just to talk. But today I'm just, going for more giving the discussion. But if there's anything, please let me know, inshallah.
Okay, sure.
Okay, emotional intelligence, right? So here, only after that first moment of repairing, did the Prophet speak, right? He named the emotion, right? Your mother has had a moment of jealousy. And that's interesting. This order is quite, as we said, is quite interesting. Because the action can first sometimes cool the tension, and then the words come second if can be looked at in a different way. Sometimes if it's spoken first, those same words, they may sound corrective, right? But after calm's restored, right, the words sound more compassionate, don't they? Yeah. This is the Prophet ﷺ's emotional wisdom, right? He knew when to speak as much as what to say, right? And there's this amazing linguistic precision here. Unbelievable. In fact, I had to come up with this translation, had a moment of jealousy. I haven't introduced it to make a point. This is a closer translation. Yeah, it's unbelievable. When you look at some of the translation, it says your mother has become jealous. Yes, incorrect. That's not the wording in the hadith. The wording in the hadith is gharat ummukum. The Prophet ﷺ used a verb, not a noun. This is quite amazing. It's so important. It's so important for our time now. So it's so important for what we see at the council, right? Yeah. He didn't say she is something. He said she has exhibited a moment of jealousy. Gharat. It's an action. Because one defines a person, another acknowledges a feeling. He didn't label. See, what happens is, in the council, what do we get? Woman coming in, my husband is a narcissist. The man coming in, my wife is a feminist. Right? Common ones we get, right? Everyone's in the business of labeling. Yeah, checked out some behaviors, they match with this label, halas, must be that. And that's so dangerous for us because our deen, subhanAllah, should teach us how to be. And it makes a clear distinction between behaviors and labels. In fact, again, won't go into it, but the firaq, the the presence of groups in early part of Islam was from this. Okay, al-asma wal-ahkam, yeah, labels and rulings. Okay, and it's so important, right? When somebody's labeled in an incorrect way, it can define them. Somebody's labeled to be, having a particular condition that describes them now, right? Maybe they're just not being stimulated enough, but they get a label which now gets the child to be seen in a certain light, and that label also comes with the idea that they need medication, right? Just from a label, okay? Or somebody may, what happened to our younger brothers and sisters, you had a young girl, for example, who just has a really strong connection with a fellow sister and quite emotional, right? Extra love, fine things that are fine, but no, it's labeled. Oh, maybe actually, you're that way inclined. You must be a lesbian because what happens when you give that title, you're forcing an identity upon a person. And in this society, once it gives the label, it wants you now to live out that identity. It's a huge problem in society with this, right? Huge problem. I don't want to get taken away from the discussion, but look here, the Prophet is just simply explaining an action. غارت أمكم. Yeah, yeah. He described an activity, not something lasting. Whether it does or doesn't, different. That's not the discussion. Yeah, and at the same time, the Prophet is validating emotion without excusing behavior. Yeah, he framed it as a moment, not a character trait. Yeah, so this is, subhanAllah, brothers, this is emotional intelligence in the prophetic language, right? It's unbelievable, really. Yeah, in modern psychology, they speak about emotional validation, recognizing what someone feels is real before you redirect their response and so on, right? The Prophet embodied this long before it was studied. In fact, our deen has so much, like I said, when you look, especially those who study certain areas, certain disciplines, certain aspects, the difference between an action and a label, something that you come across when you do, especially when you do specific types of disciplines within Islamic sciences, right? Um, so, he showed as well that acknowledging emotion doesn't make it stronger. It makes it safe to settle. Yeah. Uh, so, subhanAllah, quite a lot here, really. The mastery of the Prophet ﷺ, emotional intelligence in just this one incident is unbelievable. So in our homes, when someone reacts emotionally, whether it's a spouse, a child, a colleague, whatever, our instinct is often to say, calm down. You're overreacting. Yeah. We're not giving space for the emotion. I do that, and my son taught me. Yeah. Actually taught me this idea that when he's growing up, I wasn't giving space for the emotions he had. And it's difficult sometimes as a parent to always get that. But what was my point in the beginning? Have more moments that you're getting it. Yeah, it's not about perfection, it's about proportion, as I said. Have more moments. That's what the struggle is, and that's what the requirement is from you. Have more moments when you're getting things right. Have more moments where you're mending, right? This is what it's all about, right? And really, this issue about uh, recognize emotion is so important. But it says when people feel seen, they soften. Yeah. So that recognition sometimes can disarm the reactivity. Yeah, it's so important. And Allah Jalla, by the way, speaks about the Prophet ﷺ in Surah Al Imran. Allah Jalla, praises the Prophet ﷺ and praises the companions. Allah says, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَظًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. Yeah. Allah Jalla says that, and by the mercy of Allah, you dealt with them gently. And if you had been rude or harsh-hearted, they would have dispersed from around you. In Surah Al-Imran. Yeah. So there's a tazkiyah there for the Prophet ﷺ and for the companions. The tazkiyah for the Prophet ﷺ is clear. Yeah. Allah is telling them he dealt with them gently, that he was not fadhan or ghalid al-qalb. Yeah. Someone who's rude, coarse, and harsh-hearted. The tazkiyah for the Sahaba is what's the right thing, which is that people don't like to be around somebody who is like that. They would leave, right? It causes friction, causes distance, right? So Rasul is described here with this ability to be gentle, with this rahmah, yeah, and that has to begin with some understanding, emotional understanding, right? You can't be gentle, yeah, with what you refuse to understand, yeah, what you don't acknowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Ahmad, you want to say something?
Yep, someone's asked, would such a reaction still be possible today, given how the traditional roles of husband and wife have become more fluid?
Have become more?
Fluid,
Which reaction? Yani,
I assume from the Prophet ﷺ.
let the person speak. Can we do that?
Okay. Um, and
If they want to.
I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Aboud, can you?
Someone, I just saw a question here. Who stopped the plate? So when the servant brought the plate, the wife in who the house the plate came to, she struck the hand of the servant, and then the plate fell, and the food spilled. Okay, someone's saying questions post later. Okay, whatever, inshallah. Okay, anyhow, if somebody puts their hand up to speak, let's try that. Okay, I'm not giving them opportunity, inshallah. Okay, so anyhow, the emotional intelligence in the Sunnah, right? Is people get it wrong, right? Think about controlling. It's about comprehending, right? Before correcting. The Prophet recognized the feeling, gave it dignity, then guided the moment, right, back to balance. Yeah. And that's what it is. That's what the Prophet is doing here. Let's move on. Look at the social intelligence, something again remarkable, right? Um, after acting wisely and speaking gently, the Prophet also ensured the moment ended with harmony. Yeah, not just personally, by the way, this is the whole point, socially. Right? He didn't let anyone walk away from that incident carrying resentment, carrying gossip, or embarrassment. Social intelligence. Person knew how to navigate relationships here. He preserved dignity at the communal level. It's quite remarkable again. Unbelievable. Just look at the choice of Prophet's words. We focused the word gharat, which was an action, exhibited moment jealousy. But what did the Prophet say? He said, ummukum. Yeah. He didn't just say she had a moment of jealousy. Prophet said, your mother has had a moment of jealousy. That phrase alone, subhanAllah, healed multiple social layers in one instant. Yeah. By calling her your mother, right, he reminded everyone present, and by extension, all believers, us today, as we're speaking about it, of her honored status, one of the mothers of the believers. So the Prophet spoke to them through the lens of relationship, not the event. And that language, subhanAllah, does several things in one go, right? It centers the respect. Yeah. A mother is to be understood, not judged. It redirects emotion from irritation to empathy. It reinforces hierarchy, reminding that her station and their duty of the reverence. It unites perception, subhanAllah. Everyone's hearts are guided back to a shared point of honor. Mother of the believers. Subhanallah, this phrasing here, gharat ummukum, maybe write a book about it, because we'll use the word here is not just etiquette, brothers and sisters, it's relational genius. Yeah. Yeah. Again, just Prophet using the right thing in the right way. Yeah? We frame the entire situation, subhanAllah, through this familial affection. Not any moral superiority here. No. Right? Yeah. And just think about it, if he had simply described what happened, it might have lived on as a story of blame or embarrassment. But by saying your mother, he sealed the event in reverence. No one could repeat it as gossip without feeling ashamed, because to do so, right, would be to speak ill of your own mother. That's mastery over the social psychology of language. Yeah. And the Prophet ensured that the tone of any future retelling, like we're doing today, is one of understanding, not mockery. Yeah. Subhanallah. Yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. So, the social intelligence here isn't just about avoiding the gossip. It's about how the Prophet engineered this social safety. Yeah. It's the ability to use words that protect relationships, right? Not just reputations. The Prophet spoke in a way that, reasserted that unity, not sides. Yeah. That's why it's something remarkable. Think about it. Think about it. The companions never walked away divided from his presence. Can you imagine? Some things we take for granted, we don't stop and reflect on them. Yeah. The companions never walked away divided from his presence. The companions, not munafiqun, the companions. Brother Ahmad. Yeah. He spoke to people in a manner that made division like this impossible. Yeah. And, so we have to think, applying it to our modern life, right? And our life now, right? Sometimes we may say the right thing, but it's a wrong relational frame. Yeah. We use words that isolate rather than unite. Just think of what the Prophet is doing here. We use words that distance, instead of making, rather than dignify, right? Uh, the Prophet is teaching us here a huge thing, and that is that language shapes perception. Yeah, shapes perception. Yeah. And so, we've got to be careful about how we say things and try and see if we can, be more socially intelligent when we're speaking about people, when we're discussing things, right? Becomes so important, right? Yeah. So, these two words, your mother, yeah, that class, mercy, honor, the social coherence, all at once. Yeah. Yeah. Quite amazing. Quite amazing. But that this discussion is a bigger one, right? on al-aql, and what aql is in the deen and how it's revered, and how when you explore statement after statement after statement of the early generations, you will see it center on these three things: the ability to be ethical, any moral intelligence, do what is right, words of taqwa and everything that comes in, the ability to handle your emotions and know how to handle emotions of others around you, emotional intelligence, and social intelligence, the ability and skills to navigate relationships. SubhanAllah, it's just too much. Their statements are too much in this regard. Anyhow, so I put this slide here. Maybe we can leave this one. This was just something extra. I didn't mean by it that we're trying to frame everything by modern day psychology. We're not trying to explain the Prophet through any modern science. We're observing how modern disciplines are only now discovering what revelation and the prophetic model kind of defined for us long time ago, right? The Prophet doesn't fit our models. Yeah, please be aware of this. Whenever we have a slide like this, right, the Prophet doesn't fit our models. Yeah, rather our models unfold from his example. Yeah, they need to be validated against his example. Yeah, yeah. So, you know what the Quran, the Sunnah, they speak about hilm, sakina, adl, ihsan. Modern psychology is calling, self-regulation, emotional containment, psychological safety, all these kind of things, right? They're there, right? So, but I think because of time, and we'll give time for discussions, maybe we'll leave this slide. Can add something in the handout if you want, inshallah. But what I want to mention here really is just link this back to just ayat we all know, right? Pause and look at what's really happening in this moment of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, yeah. Because it again is a domestic scene, but look at it in light of divine revelation, yeah. The Prophet ﷺ was not simply, was saying emotional intelligence, social intelligence, so on. I want you to focus on this word ihsan, yeah. This really was ihsan embodied, yeah. Every movement and word was a living tafsir of these ayat, really, right? Yeah. So we're not using revelation here again to explain what he did. We're recognizing, right, that he defined what these verses look like in practice. Yeah. Because the revelation, as in this ayah, instructs, but the Prophet ﷺ demonstrates. Yeah. And look here, Allah Jalla says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولا تستوي الحسنة ولا السيئة ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. And not equal are the good deed and the bad. Repel evil by that which is better. Then behold, the one between you and him was enmity will become as though he was an intimate friend. This Quran, ayah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look how the Prophet is living this, showing it to us. Yeah. Allah Jalla is setting out a law here of some amazing moral chemistry. Yeah. Good and bad are never equal. But good has the power to transform bad. So this command, repel by that which is better. Idfa' billati hiya ahsan. Yeah, ahsan. Ihsan. Al-hasana. Ihsan. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not about being passive or just patience. It's about being creative. Have some moral activity, creative moral action. Right? Do something beautiful in the very place harm occurred. That's exactly what the Prophet ﷺ did. Yeah, he gathered the shards himself, he repaired what was broke, and by his composure turned that moment of embarrassment into the moment of affection. So, that's what repairing with better looks like. Right? That's that transformation the Prophet ﷺ did. Yeah, that transformation from the tension to something that's tender. Look at this next ayah. Allah Jalla says, الذين ينفقون في السراء والضراء والكاظمين الغيظ والعافين عن الناس والله يحب المحسنين. Again, muhsinin, ihsan. Those who spend in the cause of Allah during ease and hardship, who restrain anger and who pardon people. and Allah loves the doers of good. Yeah. In the mechanisms here of ihsan, right? The spending, the restraining anger, pardoning people. And then the ayah closes with that. Allah loves the muhsinin. Yeah. This is not a general compliment, right? It's explicit. There's explicit, is endorsement here for those who bring beauty in the very space where something ugly just happened. And what's interesting really is that when in Ibn al-Qayyim rahimullah, when in one of his works, when he discusses what character is, good character is, and he gives the different definitions by the scholars of old, he said some of them described it as to beautify, to bring beauty to the world. Good conduct means to bring beauty to the world. It's quite amazing. Yeah. Quite amazing. Yeah. So here, bring beauty in the very space where something ugly just happened. Right. And these are the doers of good who go beyond the adl to the ihsan. That's the Prophet's character. Yeah, in that scene. Right. This is his character. And likewise, أولئك يؤتون أجرهم مرتين بما صبروا ويدرؤون بالحسنة السيئة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Yeah, those who believe in two messages, two prophets, they're the ones who will be given their reward twice over for their patience. And what again? And they repel evil with good and spend from what we have provided them. Similar themes, subhanAllah, similar themes. Yeah, similar themes. Yeah. So, ihsan in action. This is what Allah Jalla wants from us. Yeah. So I guess as we're coming towards the last 15 or 20 minutes, how do we, brothers and sisters, take this divine pattern and live it in our homes? Yeah. What does ihsan in action look like in our daily tone, conduct, right? So re-looking at that incident, and you can do it in many different ways. I've just given a particular lens, try to see it as four kind of habits that can lead to relationship success. And we could, like I said, look, the discussion is rich, could take so much, but I wanted something practical. So, I thought it'd be good to see how we can live some of that beauty, right? When something breaks in the relationships, right? So I extracted it this way, right? First one would be pause before reacting, right? And here, I guess we could, if we wanted, right, just at least frame the Prophet moving to connect, to collect the plate, broken plate, with, add to that with the rich discussion we mentioned, the idea that it allows a person to just pause a bit, right? That activity, because it helps person not rush to speak. Yeah, you're letting some kind of calm lead the moment, as we said, that resets the atmosphere, right? And that pause, what they call nowadays regulation, right? But in nowadays, different words, right? Hilm, yeah, forbearance, a strength that is wrapped in a kind of serenity, right? So that pause can protect dignity a lot sometimes, protects your integrity, protects your dignity, right? And you're allowing your Lord to give you space to guide your next move. Think of it that way. That can be a costly thing if you don't, right? Yeah. Will you allow your Lord to space to guide your next move? Yeah. Yeah. So that's not weakness, right? It is, the heart of what it means to have aql, intelligence. Again, going back to the aql, I just mentioned this. Why the word aql, what it comes from, right? If you can imagine the Arabs, they have, the scarf and they have that sort of black ring on top, right? For those who wear what it's called iqal, right? And the word aql comes from the meaning of something to restrain. So the iqal, it restrains, it holds the scarf in place, from undesired movement, right? And your aql is supposed to restrain your conduct and character from engaging in undesirable behavior. That's what your aql is supposed to do. Yeah, that's why it's called aql. Yeah. So, subhanallah, maybe pause. Yeah. Think about, I want to make something that's practical, like I said at the beginning of the session, things we can think about, right? Um, Secondly, try this. This will help us develop, right? Name the feeling, not the person, right? Recognize emotion without blame. Yeah. He didn't label his wife, as I said to you. He named her moment. Yeah. Your mother has exhibited a moment of jealousy, right? So it turned the judgment into understanding, really, right? It's, this masterful way we're separating emotion from identity, right? And in doing so, the Prophet is teaching us you can validate emotion without validating misbehavior. SubhanAllah. So nuanced, so sophisticated, but so basic at the same time, so appropriate, so impactful. Yeah. You can validate emotion without validating misbehavior. Yeah? Instead of saying, for example, you're overreacting, say, I can see this upset you. You know, and in that you got the discussion on the difference between the you language and the I language, and everything else to speak about these days, right? Which has a space, right, and has benefit and impacts, right? Um, Thirdly, repair what broke, even if it wasn't your fault. Look what the Prophet did. Yeah, yeah. That's again leadership. Yeah, moral leadership. Yeah, the real meaning of ihsan here, as we mentioned, idfa billati hi ahsan, replace, right? To go beyond what's owed to restore what's right, right? It's very important that, as Muslims, we cherish the sort of ideals that Allah wants from us. You live in a society where it's all about I demand all my rights and I need to get all my rights. This is not the way of the believer. Of course, in certain contexts, you do it as a minority community. We need to be like that, right? But I'm thinking about relationships, right? Um, the idea that I must get everything due to me. This is not ihsan. Yeah? Or that I only give to others if I get. It's not ihsan. This is not the sublime sort of standard of character Allah wants from the believers. So here, repair what broke, even if it wasn't your fault. This is a different way of being that Allah Jalla that raises a person before Allah, raises their rank, right? So every time you take initiative to fix something without waiting for who's to blame, you're mending more than the situation, you're mending hearts. That's what you're mending at the end of the day, right? Yeah. You can let that be a principle, right? A habit here. And this fourth one, subhanAllah, is so difficult to do, right? Resume normality. Don't anchor the conflict. Yeah. Make it something that remains. Look, Prophet dealt with it, moved on. Said to people, didn't say, oh, everyone leave now. No, carry on eating. Yeah. Don't anchor. Don't anchor. Right. He carried on. The meal continued. Yeah. No lingering tension, no silent punishment. Yeah. No dramatic after talk. Right. Again, it's intelligence, subhanAllah. Knowing when the lesson is complete. Yeah. It's subhanAllah, so amazing. Yeah. So amazing. Yeah. You don't have to erase what happened. You just have to refuse to relive it. Yeah. And that's the essence of forgiveness. Yeah. With maturity, it's with that warmth. وَهُوَ الْغَفُورُ الْوَدُودُ. Yeah. The loving sort of aspect. Yeah. So these four habits, yeah, pause, name, repair, resume, yeah, they may be, something for us to look at, right? Yeah. And obviously they're so important, right? So before we close and take some questions, let's bring this home. So literally, let's take another activity, right? I want to think about these four habits and choose just one, right? One habit that you're gonna consciously bring into your relationships this week, right? And let's see what we come up with, right? So go back to the Menti, inshallah. Yeah. So which of the four prophetic habits will you start practicing first, right? Let's see what, our collective, as on the screen here, see our collective intention take shape on the screen, right? Let's see what we come up with. Ooh, subhanallah. Amazing. First steps we're doing, yeah, people of Ihsan, right? As a group, we're choosing together here, right? It's not a competition, yeah. MashaAllah. So you can see pause before reacting. Such an amazing thing, right? They speak about that moment between a stimulant, right, and how you reply, right? I'll use the word reply because if that moment in between that pause is missing, you react. And here the meaning of the word react is, connotes that it's something that you haven't thought about and usually doesn't come out right, and damages. Whereas if you have that pause, you respond, right? And that word kind of connotes something that's thoughtful, something that's more intentional, something that has the bigger picture in mind, right? Something that is leading by your aql than just raw emotion when you react, right? So everyone is, subhanAllah, thinking about pausing, rightly so, because at the very beginning, yeah, it's at the very beginning, yeah. So many of us are starting with calm, and because the world runs on reaction, right, and emotion, but the Sunnah teaches regulation, yeah. Pausing before reacting means you're reclaiming your peace before responding. And as I said, earlier, phrase it this way. Why not give your Lord space to guide your next action? Hmm? Instead of handing it over to Shaitan. Yeah. So quite amazing in terms of responses. And you've got the others all coming quite close, right? I guess second one is very difficult. Yeah, it's a very difficult one. Yeah, but that just show emotional maturity, right? And Prophet did that. Yeah, think about it. Prophet did that. But I personally, if I was trying to be honest and sharing, being transparent, I think that's probably going to be the most difficult one for me, to be honest. Yeah. But to be able to be better at that, that would be amazing. Yeah. Repair what broke. Yeah. Again, that leadership in action, right? And then again, resuming normality is subhanAllah, it's such a gentle choice. Yeah. To return to a peace and not drag the past, right? That's quite amazing. Yeah, that's quite amazing. Um, so what does that bring us? Oh, we've got a last slide here. So before we get to that, let's go back here and let's take some questions, right? How much time we've got, Yamal?
I think this session scheduled until 9, but
Okay,
obviously we can go beyond that.
okay.
Lots of
So
questions.
where do we go? With the Q&A, is it chats? What have you got for me? I'll let you deal with the host part right now.
Okay, inshallah. Do you want to get onto the next slide first, and then we'll do the
Or
Q&A?
to the last one?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. You want to actually discuss this? Yeah, should we discuss this?
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying? Okay. Okay, so yeah. So I hope you enjoyed the session tonight, brothers and sisters. I hope it's been beneficial for you all. We have got really amazing. This was like a sort of webinar that's leading into a huge course we've got running in December. I'm joining these amazing individuals you can see on the screen there. Dr. Mahara Ruby, Sheikh Imam Khidr Hussein, Sheikh Dr. Ali Ahmed, and Sheikh Dr. Sajid Umar. We've got a course, yeah, huge course. It run with 6 sessions. Each session is 90 minutes. There's at least 9 hours of instruction spread across 3 weeks. And hopefully There's a lot of planning and thought that's gone into it, and it'll be a benefit for you all, inshallah. Yeah, a lot of practical work, a lot of, sort of key foundational modules you'll take. Do encourage everybody, inshallah, to try and sign up to that. And today you've got an offer, right? 20% off with that code. Okay. Yeah, inshallah. So hopefully we see you with that. It's online. Yeah, it'll be weekday evenings. It will be recorded. So even if you pay for the course but miss the session or so, have access to the recordings, inshallah. It's starting on Tuesday, the 2nd December. Okay. And up until that time, what we've got here, try to mend what breaks. Okay. So where do you go from here, Ammar?
Yep. I'm just going to very quickly share my screen to show you how to actually purchase the ticket and to go through the landing page. And then
Okay,
inshallah, after that, then we'll
go ahead.
talk to the
Go ahead. Shall I stop this share or you can do it yourself?
um
I'll stop
yeah,
anyway. I'll
yeah.
stop. Okay. You go for it, inshallah.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So this is the landing page that you'll get onto when you click on the code or you click on the link. This goes through the schedule for the course. So we have the grand total of 6 sessions here. 2 of them will be split into brothers and sisters sessions. And this will be a very practical course, hence why we split the sessions up so that you can practice with those in the sessions as to how to implement the skills that you'll learn in this course. We have details of the mashayikh here. And importantly, this is where you click on which ticket you want to get. So for example, if you are a single, click on here and it will take you to the checkout description on the left and of course checkout details on the right. And as mentioned, the discount code for all of you attending is SRWEB20, which will give you a 20% discount. You apply it, and as you can see, that's £13 off. Inshallah. If you have any questions, then please do email events@iceeurope.org and we'll get back to you, inshallah. Inshallah.
Okay.
Should we? Yeah, let's get on to Q&A now. Inshallah.
Okay.
Um, uh, okay. One question that's been asked is how can we work on our emotional intelligence more generally, in particular, men with their emotional intelligence towards their female family members, so their mothers, their sisters, their wives, for
So
example.
it's difficult to ask this question on behalf of another, right? Because the person has to have buy-in, right? So if you're asking about yourself, then there's an answer. But if you're asking about others, then obviously you can try to speak to somebody, but until the person realizes its importance, okay, and the need for it. So, you know, I guess reading, reflecting, there's probably a lot of resources out there, right? I can't mention them offhand, right? But one should not be under any, should be very clear that this is part of our deen. The phrasing, forget the phrasing that's, of today, whether you want to call it emotional intelligence, emotional mastery, whatever. But the idea that you need to control what's going inside you and the skill sets you need to be able to manage what's going inside of others, this is a given. Yeah. This is very, very important. And this is lies at the heart of any relationship. Lies at the heart of a relationship with a believer, right? In terms of wanting to be successful in their relationships, right? And that's what Allah wants from believers. So you have to pay serious attention to it, okay? And then there's what wins hearts, right? Unfortunately, again, I'll just speak about my experience with the work at the council, right? Um, Many people, they think that the answer lies in knowing the rights and responsibilities in a technical sense. Yeah, and uh, and that's so unfortunate because that's not how the Prophet lived. Yeah, the Prophet lived the spirit of marriage. The spirit of marriage is about these things we spoke about today, right? Yes, there are rights, there are responsibilities, there are, the sort of um, boundaries and these kind of things. But this is not what makes a marriage thrive. Yeah. One of the key things that makes a marriage thrive is what I would call behavioral flexibility. And it's seen in that Al-Ghafur Wadud. I'm going to keep going back to the ayah. It's quite amazing. Yeah. The ability to be easygoing, to be flexible, and to be warm and loving. These are critical ingredients for success in any relationship. This is how you truly take people with you. And there's some amazing hadith, Some amazing hadith. The Prophet said, Man kana sahlan, hayyinan, layyinan, haramahu Allahu ala nar. So there's a lot at stake here. Yeah, the Prophet said, whoever is easygoing, flexible, yeah, and gentle and merry, right? This is the hadith. Whoever has these qualities, the Prophet said that he has made him unlawful for the fire. Allah has made him unlawful for the fire. So if that doesn't tell you the importance of this, I don't know what could, right? But if you're asking about strategy, then maybe we can think about something else about putting a pack together, because it's a very important question, right? I can't detail specific resources at the moment, but understand its importance, right? Understand that this is how you build relationships, how you can achieve anything meaningful, right? And the Prophet was the leader in this. Yeah. Carry on. Yeah.
Um, some other people are asking some questions on what particular Islamic books or books on human relationships you'd
So
recommend.
I guess maybe it's a good it's worthwhile for the council to maybe see if they can come up with something. We can assign it to one of the mashayikh to put something together. So if you've got questions of this nature, in which people are looking for resources, just capture them and let's see if we can help them by giving them some, inshallah.
Um, how do we differentiate an action that is out of character versus that is out of character, or is a mere slip up versus something that is in particular problem with our own character?
Very good. Excellent question. It's there embedded in your question, by the way, right? Um, uh, Differentiate. Look, when I said more moments, right? Another way of thinking about this, right, is there's a difference between instances and your pattern of conduct. So important. Everybody grasps the difference between having a slip up here and there. Everybody does. I'll give the most amazing lecture. Allah protect me, but in half an hour I could do something that goes against everything I taught this evening, right? But what's my pattern of conduct? What would I desire when I'm looked at in terms of my pattern? That's what I'm after. Remember, not perfection. You can't. So that answer, right, is in that question. You differentiate by being able to say to yourself, are you always like that? Do you do that most of the time? If that answer is yes, that's your pattern. If it's no, it's here and there, then it's not your character. And everybody slips. Yeah. It's so important to realize the difference, right? Even when the behaviors are positive, there's a difference between disposition and something that's situational. Yeah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes himself with the attribute of rahmah, yes or no? And he mercy, and he describes himself with the attribute of ghadab, yes or no? Anger. Massive difference. Rahmah is a sifa dhatiyah. It's a description of his essence. It's a description of who Allah is. That's why you get it as a name as well. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Anger is a description of an activity. It's situational. Allah is angry in certain situation. That's why you don't get it as a name. Allah didn't call himself Al-Ghadib, the angry one. Remember the discussion about the difference between actions and labels, right? So that is situational, right? So understand the difference between something that becomes you, your character, and something that either you slip up on, or it can be something positive, but it's only required here and there. Yeah. The problem is that sometimes we get it wrong. Give the example of the parent and the children. Your disposition should be one of affection and mercy, and anger when it's called for, situational, not the opposite way around. Your disposition is anger, and your affection now and again. That's flipped. Allah doesn't want that, right? But anyhow, going back to the question, um, differentiate between, you know what a slip up is because of the word slip up. Slip up by definition means it's an instance, it happens here and again, right? If the frequency of something, it will determine whether or not it's a slip up or not, or a character trait. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
There are a few questions as well asking about how to navigate this when perhaps the other individual in a dispute or an argument has cut you off or blocked you, and they don't want to reconcile.
These discussions, I mean, obviously, it's definitely going to invite so many of these kinds of these difficult situations. Unfortunately, this kind of session can only address you and what you can do. And obviously, many questions are going to be, what about the other person? How can I make them? That's a complete different thing, right? It requires their participation, it requires their presence, it requires, right? If you're asking about strategy, then they are, right? But the issue is, um, you know, look, um, I rarely see that. It's not a guarantee, not given that it will happen, but it is the smarter solution. And that is the change you want to see in somebody else. Instead of just keep pointing the finger, say, be this, do this. Ask yourself a smarter question. And that is, what change can I introduce in myself that will induce the change I want to see in the other person? Yeah. There's always scope for that. I've rarely seen that there's no scope for that. And that's smart. Why is that smart? It's because you are redirecting your thoughts and energies to yourself. You have control over your activity. You never have control of somebody's activity. You never will. So, and there's always a connection, right? And you may say, oh, why do I have to go that far? Well, because that's how change can occur, right? If you change yourself. And secondly, remember this, brothers and sisters, right? Relationships are a trial, a test. Is dunya, right? What's at stake is um, how you saw before Allah. So you will continue to do so anyway. Why? For Allah's sake. Someone comes in the council and says, I'm not changing for him. If I want to change, I'm going to change for myself. Or I'm not changing for her. I want to change for myself. Taib, what about changing for Allah? What happened there? Where did that disappear to? Right? So remember that the real, yeah, please remember this, the real trade you have, the real trade you have when it comes to developing your character and conduct is Allah is throwing people at you and the tests they have as just expressions of testing you. And ultimately, you want to win before Allah. So the golden question always ask yourself is, what pleases Allah the most in this situation? Well, the person who can have that as a habit, as a question to ask himself, they'll be gifted, wallahi, blessed, right? Because you're creating that space for Allah to guide you, right? So, nothing we teach, anything you read will solve relationships, will solve them all, right? You're being tested through them. Yeah. Listen to this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said that Allah Jalala secures a rank. I want you to listen to this. Secures a rank for his slave in Jannah. And he sees that his slave will not be able to reach it via his or her own actions. So he tests them through difficulty. And in the narration says, biwaladihi, through his children. Yani, you'll be tested through relationships, not just children. So there's something that happens, right? Remember, what's the greater thing that's at stake? I want to win before Allah Jalala, right? Doesn't mean we don't try to have good relationships, we don't try to have joy. No, I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying just don't lose sight of that great, picture and zoom out. You try your best, you do it for Allah's sake, you learn good strategy. The hope is that things will get better. Inshallah, they will. Don't guarantee that everything can fall in place. That's why at the council we prefer, we know it's a word that gets used a lot, conflict resolution. We prefer a better one, right? Which is conflict management, right? Because conflict management can sometimes resolve, sometimes it can't. So you've got to learn how to be able to deal with that the rest of your life. Yeah, you still need to live, you still need to develop, you still need to earn Jannah, right? So, we don't want to give people the wrong impression that every kind of dispute, every kind of conflict, every kind of relationship can solve, right? Sometimes it can't. And in this case, in this course you see in front of you, you really need to grasp it, right? Because in-laws, extended family, first of all, is difficult. Then you've got an extended family that is not even yours, right? So many people, so many players, so many standards, so many expectations. You can't manage all that. So the idea that everything will be blissful is not something that's real, right? So there has to be a different kind of paradigm, different way to think of where joy is, where success is, how I can still have be happy and achieve. Okay. Okay, Bismillah. How are we doing for time? I don't want to keep people because if we stated the time.
Yeah. Do you have question? Do you have time for maybe one more question?
I've got time. I've got time. I'm saying I don't want to,
Oh,
go
let's do
over.
one more question, inshallah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah. Uh, yep. So many people are asking questions that are maybe more so to do with when there are instances of, say, abuse or general kind of bad temperament. How are they expected, or how should they react in such situations?
Just repeat that again. I just missed the critical part. They're experiencing what?
So, some people here are asking questions regarding uh, perhaps it could be abuse or just instances where their spouse has, let's say, uh,
Complex. It is inappropriate, not acceptable really for any speaker to speak about specific things really that are quite complex, sensitive, right? All we can say really to these people is just try and see us at the council, right? Because it needs that time, right? You may say something in a Q&A right now, just one sentence, and we give an answer that could be completely problematic because we haven't really understood properly. So it's dangerous, really, to speak about, sensitive or complex situations. Really, this can only you can only do a broad brush in sessions like this, right? But real situations that require time need to be seen properly. Yeah, Ammar. Barakallah.
um, yep. As Sheikh mentioned, if you do have,
We'll send out these questions, won't lose them, right? Capture them and we'll keep them in the team and see how we can, give more benefit, whatever is possible, inshallah. Yeah.
yes, inshallah. As
Okay.
Sheikh mentioned, if anyone does have any particular questions relating to their situation, please do email inquiries at Islamic at iceurope.org. Just put it in the chat right now um, to inquire about speaking to the council for a case. Jazakallah khairan, everyone, for attending. We hope you enjoyed. Um, Sheikh, could you just quickly share the last slide from the PowerPoint, just in case anyone is
Is
uh,
it this?
checking it?
Oh, okay. We're not seeing anything right now, we? All right. I was looking at the slide, but I didn't realize we're not seeing. So, okay, one second. Share. Bismillah. And there we go. Okay, Jazakum khair, brothers and sisters. Allah bless you all. May Allah Jalla give us all tawfiq, inshallah. And we'll see you again sometime soon. Jazakum khair. And as it says there, until then, try. Try to mend or break. So and ask Allah Jalla for assistance in that. Yeah. Jazakum khaira. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanallah wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.